today's video, we're going to be covering something that I wish I would have been taught in high school or heck, even college. And honestly, I still can't believe they don't teach this in schools today. So we want to make sure that we're doing our part in teaching you, your kids, our kids about investing in index funds so that you don't get a late start like we did and you start building your wealth much faster. So the main thing that I want to make sure that you walk away with today is understanding that you could be doubling your money every 7 to 10 years and every 7 to 10 years after that if you just learn the concept of investing in simple index funds. And if you're looking for a sign to give yourself permission to be wealthy, well, this is your sign and this video is meant for you. But first, welcome back to our channel, Permission to Be Wealthy, where my wife, Stefanie, and I have open and honest conversations about what it's like to build wealth, investing, and pursuing financial independence now as a family of 4 who have hit millionaire status. And we try to share everything we can with you so that you can also get on this path, giving yourself permission to be wealthy. I also want to take a quick moment and say thank you so much for giving us your time and giving us the opportunity to share our journey on building our wealth and our financial independence journey so that we can make sure that we give as much information as possible to those of you who watch our video. And we just want to say thank you so much. So if you enjoy this video, make sure you give it a like, make sure you subscribe, and also drop any questions that you have about this video or any questions you have about our journey or how you are pursuing your own journey whenever it comes to financial independence. And we'd love to answer those questions for you. So the first thing that I want you to understand about index funds is they are a lot more simple than you think or than any of us have been led to believe. Now, another important thing for you to know is you are not alone in your fear if you have not started investing. I think a lot of us, whenever we begin considering investing, we think that we have to be these professionals or have some type of degree to start investing in the stock market. My goal today with this video and teaching you about index investing is to keep it as lighthearted and as fun as possible so that you can actually start feeling like you can do what you think you need to do to start investing your money in index funds and start building your wealth much sooner. So let's jump in. The first thing that we're going to do is go over the lies that we've been told about investing, uncover some truths that I think every investor should know, what index funds are and are not, and ultimately why you might want to start your investing journey with index funds, even if you plan on being a millionaire through work or real estate, because we all need that millionaire backup plan just in case our job doesn't make us a millionaire. And finally, how to start investing in index funds today. So let's start off with the lies. We've been told little lies about investing almost our entire lives without even realizing it. For example, have you ever heard this? Investing is just for rich people because they can afford to hire a professional to do that for them. So both my parents were school teachers and they had this one friend who became a financial planner who started managing other people's money. I always saw him on fancy vacations or driving some of the nicest cars. And I personally, because my parents were school teachers, wrote that off as, oh, that's what rich people could do because that's what I heard in my mind all the time as a kid. Like that's what rich people do. And so I never thought that I would be somebody that would be on that path of becoming a millionaire. But I knew that hopefully if I worked hard enough, I could possibly get there one day. But honestly, I never thought it would be through investing in index funds or investing in the stock market. Now, the next little lie that you've probably heard if you talk to friends or family like I have about investing is they think it's the riskiest thing in the entire world. They think that if you invest your money today and you invest all your hard-earned money into index funds or the stock market, that one day you're going to open your account and all your money is going to be gone. So I want to bust these two myths first because I think it's really important for you to understand as somebody who is considering putting their money into index funds or the stock market, why you might be getting fed these little lies that are starting to be ingrained into your mind and part of your daily thought process. So the first lie and or myth that I want to bust is that you have to be a professional and or hire a professional fund manager to manage your money in order to invest in the stock market. So it's really important for you to understand how this works. Whenever you hire somebody to manage your money, they're typically making 1 to 5% off of your actual capital that they are helping you invest. So every year they're making 1 to 5% off of possibly hundreds of people, if not thousands of people every single year, whether they make you money and or lose money for you in the stock market. It doesn't seem very fair. The other thing that you need to know about this is that people who manage other people's money tend to make things seem a lot harder because if they can make it seem really hard for you, guess what? You're going to come over to them and you're going to give them your money. And every single year, that 1 to 5% that they are taking out of your capital goes to them, even though they might be losing money for you by trying to invest in something else. Now, the other myth that I want to bust for you that your family members and or friends are probably telling you that is if you put your money into an index fund and or stock market that one day you're going to open up your portfolio and all your money is going to be gone. The reason some of these people probably say this is, number one, they probably never invested in themselves, so they have no idea what they're talking about. And number two is because they probably invested in individual stocks, or they were trying to do stock picking like they were actually a stock broker, which then in turn didn't set them up to be successful because they were only picking stocks one at a time and not doing enough research. And today we're going to actually help you get a little smarter than those folks so that you can build wealth over time consistently and as easy as possible, as well as passively as possible and as safe as possible. So here's the great news for you. Index fund investing is not difficult at all. You don't need much money to get started. The risks are pretty low, and you will make more money than 92% of stock pickers in the long run. I want you to think about that for a minute. Just by you deciding to invest in index funds, you're going to be smarter than 92% of people that are managing money for other people out in the world, just by simply deciding to invest in index funds that track the S&P 500, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Okay, now that we've busted the myths about investing in index funds, and you also know that you can actually do better than 92% of stock pickers out in the world managing other people's money, let's dive into what index funds are and exactly how you can use index funds to double your money every 7 to 10 years to start building your millionaire backup plan. Now, I know whenever Stefanie and I started investing, we were so lost. We thought we were going to make every single mistake in the world because we didn't know what we were doing. But once we understood what index fund investing was, it made things so much more clear and made us a lot more comfortable investing our hard-earned money and knowing what the capabilities were if we actually started doing this whenever we chose to. So Stefanie and I are big fans of music, and if you've ever listened to music, you probably know what the Billboard Top 100 chart is, or I think these days they call it the Spotify Viral 50 or Viral 100. So the better a song performs, the higher it goes up on the list, and the worse it performs, the lower it goes on the list or it gets completely kicked off the list. So if you take a look here, this is Spotify's top 100 songs, and you can see they're listed from number 1 all the way down to, I believe, number 100. And so whenever we look at this chart, what I want you to start thinking is, again, going back to what I just said, the top songs that get played the most and are most popular go up to the top, and the songs that are not as good or start getting worse or getting less plays, they go down to the bottom, and eventually they get kicked off and new songs replenish. So this is an index fund that tracks the S&P 500, and what I want you to notice is there are companies on here that you probably know, like Google, Apple, Tesla, Netflix, companies that you probably use on a daily basis, but didn't realize we're on the S&P 500. Now, the cool thing about the S&P 500, much like our music chart from Spotify that we just took a look at, is these companies are going to be companies that we know, right? Much like the songs that we saw, we're like, oh yeah, I recognize that song. Household names to most of us that we didn't realize were probably on the S&P 500. So like the music chart, any of these companies that are in this chart are the top 500 companies because it's the S&P 500. And any of the companies that are performing at the top of the top are obviously at the top of this S&P 500. At least that's how we visualize it. And any companies that are at the bottom have a chance of being kicked off so that new companies can come in, much like new songs would come into Spotify's top 100. Now, the reason this is really important, and I made this correlation, is because one, we all, I think, love some form of music, or, we have top songs that we love, and sometimes those songs may change. Well, as the S&P 500 changes, these new companies come in and they replenish the S&P 500 to make it better every single time. Now, that happens every once in a while, and whenever that happens, you know that you're getting the best and top 500 companies in the United States. Now, the other reason that's really important is because of diversification. So index funds are greatly diversified, and specifically talking about the S&P 500. Whenever we're investing in an index fund, we are investing in these top 500 companies. And so whenever we're talking about our risk, we're not putting ourselves at risk at investing in just one company. So let's go back to these ideas of these little lies and or myths that we're taught. If we were stock pickers and we're investing all of our money into Apple because we love Apple computers, and one day somebody at Apple makes a really bad decision and the company just starts crashing. Well, what does our money do that was invested in that company? Our money also starts to crash. And so if Apple's part of the S&P 500 and Apple starts doing bad or bad enough, well, Apple will be kicked out of the S&P 500 and another company will come in to make sure that the S&P 500 rises. Now, that's not to say that your money may not see a little bit of dip, but it's not going to be completely gone if Apple were to disappear one day. So there you have it. Hopefully you've uncovered covered some of the myths that you may have been told and or little lies that have been fed to you to keep you from investing. We've also covered exactly what index funds are and how to utilize them, and some of the specific index funds you can start doing research on to make your decision on whether or not you want to buy index funds as your starting point to start building your wealth. Now, if you are still interested in getting started and learning a little bit more and want a little guidance, Stefanie created this video here that you can check out. And at the end of the day, my goal was to make sure that you learned what index funds were and that you gave yourself permission to be wealthy. And if you did that today, I am so happy that you got to join us. Make sure you like, subscribe, and again, check out this video here.